And I have my notebook.
All right, I'm going to keep one eye on the waiting room in case anyone else hops on to join us, but I think we've given it a couple minutes here, so let's get started. I'm happy to see you all. We were just chatting before I hit record about this winter and how cold it's been and all the nasty bugs going around. So I hope this finds you all in good health. And spring's it's gotta be coming, right? This can't last forever. I certainly hope that spring is around sooner than later. But thanks for joining. Like I said, I am going to record this and we can send it out afterwards. Forgive me if my voice is not quite as strong as I'd like it to be. But again, this time is really to bring any issues or concerns or comments or tips, tricks, victories, whatever you might have to our network and share them with each other and ask questions of me. I did want to touch base really quick before opening the floor. Just a couple updates from the last office hours. If any of you were on or had a chance to watch the recording, there was some discussion there. One of the things someone had asked about the availability of ground beef. So I did actually just get an update from Carolyn from our food sourcing manager the other day. She updated the team that we're currently totally out of 80/20 and 90/10. It's been like a record high demand. And the first load she is able to realistically think that we'll be getting in is towards the end of the month. So like the 23rd of February, we should be getting it in. So we know people want it and it's a highly requested item. So, she's been doing what she can on that end, but just so you all know that there has been kind of this unprecedented demand and it's just been very hard to get. So that's one update. And
What
hand in
about
hand. Oh,
what
sorry.
about
Go ahead.
sorry, what about nuggets?
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
I can ask her, Mary.
I mean, I submitted my order last night and cereal. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cereal.
cereal.
Like,
I hear a couple of
Mm.
people saying
Yep.
cereal.
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because you had just Rice Krispies, so I got some of those and then I was able to get oats, which is great because they were asking about the oats. Now I only have oats, all out of Rice Krispies, but anything. Just consistency. It's hard to keep it in. I'm open 5 days a week and sometimes like we're out by Friday or Saturday.
Sure. And I know there's been very little on TFAP supplementing any of that, but those specific items, I'll reach out to Carolyn and to the food acquisition team and see if I can get an update and send that along with the recording.
Would it help, like with the hamburger and some of the other items, given that everybody is flush with grant money now, so ordering might be up to limit the quantities that pantries can request?
Sure, and that's a real possibility. I don't think it's had to have been implemented on any items as far as I know yet, but that is something that's been discussed internally. And we have folks keeping an eye on orders, especially orders for larger amounts, and making sure that people are not ordering beyond their storage capacity and that there is things available across the menu. So yeah, I mean, again, I haven't heard that that's had to be implemented specifically around this. Right now with this, I think it's just that our supply ran dry, and getting it outside of the food bank has been difficult to begin with. But yeah, that is a possibility.
Sarah, what about some bread and some peanut butter for the mobiles?
Bread and peanut butter for the mobiles.
Yeah, I
Bread
mean,
is kind of hit or miss. Oh, go ahead, Bev.
I was going to say, before, for the families, making sandwiches. I mean, if we can't get meat, peanut butter is a good protein, and that helps the families too with the luncheons, you know.
Sure.
So is canned tuna and canned chicken. Whenever I get low, that's what I use.
Yeah.
Sure. And Bev is in a slightly different position overseeing a mobile food pantry. She doesn't have control over what gets put on that order. But those are great things to be mindful of, Bev. I'll bring that to the mobile food pantry team and see. I know bread can be iffy. It just when we get it in, it usually goes right out and kind of it's hit or miss, right? It's never a guarantee what we'll have. Occasionally you'll see a tote of some baked goods going to a mobile, but it's not a guarantee. But the peanut butter was another thing that was, missed and low for quite a while. And I know that we did recently get that in. So I can check on that in the
Thanks.
MFP realm.
Thanks.
Sarah, regarding limits,
Mm-hmm.
do they, I've always wondered, when it came to the TFAP items, do they actually put a limit on those? Because it always seemed like for the last couple of years, it it seemed like there was like 25 available for me or 20. And then I'd go back and usually there was 20 again. So I didn't know if there's a certain, I'm a food pantry, pretty decent sized food pantry, but so I didn't know, like, were there limits actually on TFAP items, like per organization or per partner?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure, Mary, how or when limits specifically around certain items are enacted. When kind of community impact, so the department that I live in, when we've gotten pulled in with limits, it tends to be around something more kind of one-off, right? A special item that we might know would be in high demand and to keep an eye on it. But as far as regular items on the TFAP menu, I would think there's a couple factors, the amount that we have in place in stock when they go hit the menu. But as far as specific limits, I'm not sure. I can ask the team. That
Yeah,
would be good
it's
for us to
nothing
have.
burning. I was just,
Yeah.
I have to say, and I mentioned this in part of my agency renewal. Like, I do have to say, gosh, I guess I didn't realize how much different the renewal is.
Yeah.
I
Crazy.
don't recall having to list all my TFAP appliances as well as all of my other ones, and TFAP having to have the dates. We have ones that are well before when I was director that I'm still trying to find like information on. And Wilson's has been great. But anyways, that was one of my comments about availability has been, I've noticed, we have the ability, we've always offered chicken nuggets. And then when their pulled grant came, I was out of it. And a lot of my clients were like, well, you always have them. And I'm like, yeah, well, and that was because we would always pay for them. And then when they're free, like, and it's great. Like, I get it. If I was in their situation, I would order them too. But if you're getting your food the same day as you're distributing it, and so refrigeration or freezer isn't as big of an issue, and people can give out more, which is always a good thing. It still hurts those of us who are consistently open every day. And I'm offering, okay, you can have 2 hot dogs and 2 ground chicken because I only have hot dogs, ground chicken, and fish on the menu, because everything else is out. I can't get it. It hasn't been that bad, but it's looking, and I'm trying to go to Aldi's to buy like bologna, which is not like, is bologna better than chicken nuggets? I don't know. But chicken breasts would be another thing. I would really like that just because, even though I know, I worked with Mara on, Healthy Pantry Initiative, it's still really requested quite a
Sure.
bit, especially by, families who maybe not the 1 to 2s. They don't want to do as much cooking but they can really stretch the chicken breast. So
Mhm.
But yeah,
And
I agree. And I do get the canned. I've been ordering a lot of canned chicken. I don't know. Is that Jean who mentioned that? Where you mentioned, no, I supplement with canned chicken. I've been ordering that and tuna and kind of beefing that up whenever we don't have as much to offer. Um,
Do you
but
give out recipes also whenever you change something up?
I do. I do. I
That's what
mean,
I have to do.
yeah, I mean, they're usually pretty good, especially if we have like the only produce we could get were like carrots and cabbage or something like that, something a little crazy. Well, let's try some stuffed cabbage soup. And so, you look up something that's somewhat simple or that we have all the pantry items for. So
Mhm.
that's usually something that, and I actually encourage my volunteers to take the recipe home, try it out,
Mhm.
and let me know. Like, and some of them were saying, well, this one's a little too complicated, or someone says, I didn't find it complicated and I thought it was delicious. So that way we can give feedback to them. Like, some of us tried it and thought it was good. So yeah, no, recipes are good, but I'm still,
I'd like to open it to the group here, something that Mary mentioned. And it's an interesting, I think, side of this coin, right? Talking about availability on our menu and potentially running into some limitations because everybody has been covered for the most part with these pooled grants, and people are able to take advantage in a way that isn't kind of the norm. So it is a double-edged sword, right? I understand the
and
concern
I,
coming from a pantry that's open often and used to being able to order it, but the other side of that is are some of our pantries without as robust a budget or a schedule able to take advantage of some things that they typically don't. So I'd love to hear from some folks if what your experiences have been.
Well,
Does
what good
anyone
are
want to
the
share?
funds?
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Linda.
What good are all those funds if there's nothing on the menu we can buy to with it that makes sense? And right now, it is really slim pickings on that menu of what you have. Now, from what I understood, you guys are working on your walk-in and on your freezer, but you got trailers to put the stuff in, and that's the reason. Then why isn't there any food on the menu? Again, besides the hamburger, which I see there's no ground beef out there, there's no hot dogs, the chicken breast. You're right. There's nothing there that I don't like having to fish through recipes and help people when I need foods that they can use. Like, fortunately, I have peanut butter and jelly. No bread though, so we have to buy that.
and the
And I do a lot
chicken,
of homeless.
I was just going to say the chicken, sometimes it's coming in as 5 pound bags and we can't
Oh,
use
I
the
know.
5 pound
Yeah.
bag. Yeah. So we need to go back to those 2 pound
yeah,
containers or
amen.
whatever. Yeah. Or
Amen.
5 pound
1 pound.
bags are
Yep.
just too big.
Well,
Yep.
Is
we,
that what you're
we
saying,
aren't,
Jean?
we don't have a kitchen, so we can't, yeah, and they're
Right.
frozen. So we can't do anything with them.
I
Can't divvy
only,
them up.
pardon?
You can't divvy them up. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
give them to my large families only.
we do too, but that shorts
Yeah.
you for your smaller families, and we
Right.
predominantly have small families
Right,
or small
right.
households.
Yeah.
The families can't even divvy it up a 5 pound bag because they're frozen all in one big
Right.
old.
Yeah, one big chunk.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to Mary's comment about trying to come up with dates for equipment that we have had for years. The system won't allow us not to put a date in. And there's equipment I have no idea. So it won't let me submit without a date.
Oh, the day to purchase that thing?
Yes.
Yes.
So for any HIPNAP, New York
Yes.
State equipment.
Because we
Yes.
didn't need it last year. And I had to
We've
go through
never.
all my paperwork with all my tax stuff sitting all over. And I had to go
Right.
through there searching for and one of them says 2022. I don't have a date. I'm thinking April. I'm kind of
Yeah.
guesstimating. It's too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I
Me
made
too, but
mine up where I didn't
I
know.
can't even guesstimate the year. So if they can take that off, if we don't need a date, we need somehow to submit it without a date if we don't know.
One thing I will say, and I hate throwing them under the bus, so to speak, is Wilson's has been really good, if that's where you got it from. I mean, that's where I get my, you don't get it from there?
Mine was the
Well,
other one.
And I think a lot of what we're talking about is equipment that has been there for ages and
Right,
it
right.
might have been passed from agency to agency or, who knows where it came from kind of. So that's a question for our CI admin team. I'm going to bring it to them. So I just want to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. You cannot submit without a date.
Yeah, it
That's
wouldn't let
It
me.
too.
Correct.
No.
okay.
I
Okay.
I will say that I guessed.
I did too. I just,
You
I
put
had ballparked it.
a guess in there and submit it. It doesn't
Sure.
Yeah.
matter.
I mean, I can do that too, but
And that might be the advice that I come back with.
okay.
I think the intent behind this, right, is that over time we realized internally at the food bank that our record keeping of what HIPNAP equipment was out there was less than
Mhm.
thorough, right? And
Mhm.
this is an attempt to capture what we can and kind of have a baseline to go from. But the understanding from all of you, and I'm not surprised to hear it, is that, a lot of these units are not, new with tags and have a way for you to kind of refer back to. So it might
There,
be the,
And
oh,
they're not
yeah,
hip
Mary.
either.
yeah, one of my questions is, and this is one of those really ironic things, not that um, I wonder if it was decided upon to include that because it's a way of gauging what the grant cycle is going to look like for HIPNAP capital improvement, like, equipment grants. Because, I have an appliance. I had to, something broke after the window closed and we had to replace it. We had funds saved. We bought a new one. So it's not a HIPNAP, right? But I wonder if it was the food bank's way of kind of gauging, okay, well, let's use me, Corning Community
No,
Food
I
Bank.
don't I don't
You don't
believe
think
that
that's
to be
it?
the case. No. So we've had instances, right, where a pantry has closed or leadership has changed hands and a location has had to move, et cetera, where we've had to look back and be able to say, okay, this equipment goes with this 501c3, where is it, and keep track of things. And we just did not have a clear picture of what had been granted through HIPNAP through the years. And I really think this is just kind of a bucket to catch, at least a baseline idea. So we have some kind of record, we have some kind of inventory, because prior to this, it just didn't exist.
Well,
I
if
do
you,
know
Sort
that
of how the whole partnership agreement is. It's a kitchen sink. Everything is thrown in there. Equipment, your emotional state, um, just everything how is that relative to a partnership agreement? Um, it's more like something that should be an optional survey or questionnaire. Everything is just thrown in there, and then we're asked to, sign off on that we agree to all of this and, the stipulations that are laid out. It, it's not very partnership related. It's more, this is what we're going to do.
like
This
a
is what we
survey.
need. Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a survey. Yeah.
And you need it in order to be compliant and to receive or have a relationship with the food bank. So
Can you say more on that? I want to make sure I'm following what you're saying, and if others get
there
it
are
before I do, please chime in.
so many things that are now in the partnership agreement that
Mhm.
we're not ever in the partnership agreement before. And a lot of it, I don't understand why it's been included in there.
You're like your emotional state.
Exactly that, the
That
budget, your
are you
budget.
are you stressed out?
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious, I did
Yeah.
not hit that part yet.
I didn't say
That's at the
that.
very end.
I never
But
saw that.
Yeah,
but
well,
I
it's
agree
in
with
there.
Jean. I agree with Jean. It really does have nothing to do with the partnership.
Is that possibly why, although I did my renewal in January, I keep getting an email telling me that I have to do my renewal request? I mean, the renewal, when I've already done it. How do I find out what's wrong? Why are they asking me? It went through when I did it.
Is it sending you a specific request, Linda?
It's saying, renewal request is due upon, like, was it February something or other? 27th
27.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah, the end of the,
February 27th.
And I've already done it in January.
I
and
wonder
it
if
was
it's like
accepted.
a batch message and you're just included in the network, or does it seem like it's specific to you?
I'll look
Have
it up
you
while
done
you're
it through
talking.
have you done it through the new website?
No, I did it before the new website was
So
there.
maybe that's it.
I'm not doing it again. I didn't write it down.
No, but you can copy and paste from the old website, pull
Copy
up your
forward.
old, yeah, you can
But
copy it
there's
into
not
your
a
new one.
new web. So are you talking about the partner portal?
Yeah.
The new thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a
That's
pain.
that's
Yep.
just a way to access the grants platform. The grants platform itself didn't change. So
And the ordering and everything else. You get
yeah,
Right.
access to there.
no, but you can access straight through the ordering website as well, and that's kind of the easiest workaround. But for your agreement in Fountain, if you logged in and
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't change. So let me check,
Well, that was
Linda,
also lumped in there. This is how
Right.
we're going to be doing communication from now on. You need one
with the
email
new
for,
email address.
that's part of the
Mhm.
partnership agreement. Just throw it all in there. I mean, it took me hours to finish that thing.
Me too, because it kept on giving little things, like you're saying, like a little date is missing or
Yeah,
something small. And it doesn't tell you in big bold
where?
numbers, go to
Yeah,
this section.
just says
Oh,
it's missing. Yeah.
oh yeah. No, Sarah, if you can check that out for me, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, just to see if it's been submitted, Linda, and
Correct.
you can ignore those emails. I'll look. But this is, please, like, keep talking. I have not filled out the renewal, so I only see bits and pieces. So I think this is all really important feedback. And I will say, I think on the food bank side, a reason behind that, I feel like I've heard about including things more in renewals as opposed to doing a separate survey or, more communicate is to kind of shrink down the amount of communication that you're getting from us.
Yep.
But it also sounds like then the flip side of that is it's all too much in one spot. So, but really, again, I'm not filling it out. So I find this really valuable to hear your feedback, and we won't know unless you tell us. So please, if there's more,
Linda,
let me know.
Well, I have to say, excuse me, guys. Well, I have to say that it was time consuming. I think there was unnecessary questions in there that didn't need to be in there. And you have to understand that we're volunteers. We have a
Exactly.
life. We have things to do. I had to fill out two of them, girls, and I think we're all frustrated with it.
mm-hmm.
It's too
Mhm.
much. Just put the minimum that you need to put in there, and the hell with the rest. Because boy, it was frustrating. And for me to have to do two of them, it took forever.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, look what they give us in return. And I'm just playing devil's advocate because I didn't like doing it either.
I
But
promise I didn't promise Linda any kind of kickbacks.
no, you didn't this time. And Amanda's not here to get my back. Yeah. But along those lines, Sarah, when we applied for a freezer in 2022, you not only have the application, you have my Hannon's receipt, you have all that stuff. Why are they, and I'm picking on you, why are you asking me of it now, 4 years later, when
Yeah.
you already have that information because you gave me the money?
It's
I'm
a
just
great point.
wondering.
No, I asked for
We
it.
all
So
wondered
like,
the same
please let
thing.
me tell me these things. Yeah.
Because I have to go into where we volunteer at and into the office and find all the documentation from 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking it's 4 years ago. What if it was 3 years ago? And go through everything, go into the grant stuff. I mean, it is a lot of work put on us all of a sudden,
Mhm.
although you're giving us the money. So, I mean, but you didn't make it this hard in the beginning and it's now getting worse.
No, and
And
I think that's a really important qualifier there, and I wanted to make sure I wrote that down is, the idea that especially when the funds have come via HIPNAP through the food bank, where is our responsibility and lift in this kind of organization
It's just too
of
much
this
paperwork.
information?
It's just too
I
much
understand.
paperwork. with everything else that we got to do. So it's just too much. And I really feel it because I have the two mobile. So I really felt that. Can I make another suggestion, Sarah? When I was working at the community table and I sympathize with these gals when they're ordering, and some people get stuff and some people don't. And I felt at that time that I remember Hector, I would get some stuff, and then when Hector tried to put their order in, it was too late to get it. I think the food bank should limit the amount. If you're going to get chicken, okay, you can only get this much so that the next food pantry can get it. And I'm not with the food pantry anymore, except for the mobile, but I sympathize with that. And I felt so bad because I was getting stuff and Hector wasn't getting it. And I don't think it's right. I think you should limit. I don't think that people should get this much and then the other people don't get it. That's my opinion.
But
Yeah,
some
But there's
pantries
some
don't need it. Some
there's
pantries
some
don't need
pan
as much.
and there's some pantries that feed 40 or 50 people a
Okay.
week, and there's other pantries that feed 200.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I-
and I mean, I don't think I have all the answers you want to hear, but I can promise you that people smarter than me who work on the ordering side of things and the inventory side of things and the purchasing side of things do keep very close eyes on the ordering platform, on what's going in and out of the food bank. So I might not see it directly in the role that I'm in, kind of, working with all of you folks. I don't, I can pull up your order and see what you got last week, but that's kind of the extent of my reach and my knowledge there. Um, but I know that it's not unnoticed. If we'd like a little more understanding of what goes in on the food bank side of things, I'm happy to kind of try to source that information and share it with this group in an upcoming, open office hours where, we can talk about how the food bank determines limits and what they're looking for as they're keeping an eye on orders, et cetera. I think it's a really good point and something I could serve to, learn more about myself.
I think it's more aggravating when you see say dog food, okay, and say no limit. So you order 20 bags because we break it down. Dog food we break down into smaller bags. We have people that were taking food just for their animals, and that's one of my pet peeves, okay? And then you put say it said 20 limit and you put 10 bags down and you think, well, wait a minute, I should get 5 more, blah, blah, blah. And you go in and now it's down to 2 or it's not even on the menu anymore. It's the limit thing is frustrating too, but you only have so many.
Yeah, and timing is such a critical
Right.
part, right? If depending on when you receive your delivery, you're not always looking at the menu at the same time other people are, and different things that are available when they're on might not be there when you are. So, it's a complicated kind of dance, I think, to stay on top of. But I think for the food banks end, for my end of things here, I think I can do some digging on that and at least have a better answer for all of you about how we approach limits and what we're looking at specifically around what kinds of foods and what kind of triggers sets those limits off, and maybe that can at least build our knowledge on how it works on our end.
Mm-hmm.
Can I change the topic just a little bit?
Sure, Kerm, please go ahead.
Um, Another complaint, probably. This is when we get some dollars through the equipment and so forth for rent. And I thought that I'd filled the form out correctly and it was all in. The form needs more direction, if you will, on what to include in terms of proof that you have paid it. Now they're requiring, again, a change in policy, and I am talking with Darren to understand why, because the state's come down on regulations and so forth. but I did like I usually do. I took a picture of stuff, um, lapped them over so that everybody had it. They were all included and sent it in, and that was okay. Now it's coming back. I've got to. Fortunately, I just learned how to scan. Um, so I've got to scan each page separately and send all of those in separately. And you know, I would have probably done that clear back at the beginning if the directions had said to do that. But the directions are not clear enough um, for me at least, to understand what needs to be included in there.
Yeah, because that
So
changed again this year too.
it changed again this year.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there was no notice. It was just kind of thrown out there. Now you need a copy of each of the utility bills. And of course,
Yeah.
you've got your provider and your distribution. So that's 12 bills plus documentation of payment.
So we're
Exactly.
talking about, just so everyone's on the same page, if someone has received funds through the HIPNAP OSC, this is part of the twice yearly documentation that you have to provide.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
That has changed,
yes.
Yes.
and now the requirements are a little more robust. They're asking for more documentation.
Yes. And after it was explained to me, I understand why,
Right.
because you have to have it. But it would have been nice to have that prior, so I didn't have to go back and essentially redo the whole, not the whole thing, but redo the,
Section. Mhm.
the part that needed
It was spelled out on the
expansion.
utility grant component of that, but I still questioned it because it was different than we ever had to do in the past. And it just seemed, way more cumbersome than necessary. But I understand if you have to have if you, the food bank, have to have documentation, then we have to provide it. But like I said, that's, at least 12 scans or one really big one. And then you have to go to a different program and compress the scan so that it's small enough to upload. So it's a whole thing when you get ready to do it.
One time when I had to do that with the utility bills, and it was 6 pages long, which you didn't need all 6 pages. The front tells you it's auto pay. This is the amount. But anyway, when they needed it and I just couldn't get it scanned and do all that, I put hard copies in a manila envelope and gave it to the driver, and the driver brought it into to Amanda.
But
And
I think now that is going to be held against you if you read closely on the documentation, that if
it
you
did.
don't do it, the way that they're asking for it to be done, then you get gigged for it.
It did.
So,
Because by the time they got through it and everything else, it was my deadline had passed, and they said, well, you can be punished for the next 6 months. I said, I'm not being punished. I got you everything you needed. You should be punished. And I don't mean it nasty, because
right.
Amanda and Bree fought for me and it wasn't held against me. But she said the state could hold it against them. Sorry, I did my job. I got them what they wanted. But if I have to give them hard copies, because they were going to print out those PDFs anyway.
What I would suggest, because it is coming down from the state, is that in my contacts with the state representative, it's time to let them know that this is onerous, if you will, on the local pantries, and the state needs to change the way that they're doing business and their requirements. But probably good luck, yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
But I think it does open that conversation about, what advocacy opportunities are here. It's one thing for us to kind of call on all of you to testify, when a subject presents itself. But I feel like the state needs to hear from those of you who have been tasked with these changes, because and again, I don't want to preach to the choir. I think you all have been through this before, and obviously the idea of actually getting it to change can seem like too big of a reach. But again, I want to ensure that the voices of the people who are actually taking on this added labor are part of that conversation, because it certainly seems in some cases that changes or things are put in place almost arbitrarily, and they don't consider the limitations of the labor force that they're putting this back onto. So I always encourage you to share those thoughts with me, but it does have something spinning in my mind, and I want to reach out to the folks at the food bank who work really closely in advocacy spaces about how do we collect this, right? Like, I don't want this to just be an echo chamber. And I know it's probably good to share with each other and to share with me, but I don't think any of us on this call are going to get it any farther than this call. So how do we elevate that? So that's another to do for me. I just want to make sure that it's captured, and because I know you'll all get it done. I know you will. And with the assistance of folks at the food bank, and we'll make sure that it's done and taken care of, but that's a lot different than the reality of it, right? I mean, the ends are the same and the state got what it wants, but I want to make sure that kind of these pain points are shared, and that people realize that this does have an effect on the work that we're doing and on the emergency food network as a whole. So again, you can always share it with me, and I just want to try to elevate it beyond this call and see if we can do something with that.
Sarah, does
Yes.
when the state makes changes to like the grant and all of that stuff, do they do that comment period? Like, like with the federal government, they have the comment period, and I know on the state regulations, sometimes they're making changes and they have a comment period. Is that done through the state with something like this?
Glenda, I don't believe so. From what I've heard, from Amanda, especially who seems to, receive all of these kind of changes internally at the food bank, is that these things are dropped on us kind of, with no notice. So I don't believe so.
Because if it was, then we could.
Then that would be, yeah, that would be an opportunity. So how do we change that? Yeah. I'm happy to be the complaints department and hear all these things from you and see what we can work on the back end. Is anything going great? Anything anyone wants to cheer about on the other side?
Have the ham award letters gone out yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Hams are due. That
29.
might be, I might have access to that spreadsheet. I'm not sure. I know Bree is working on all of that, and we're expecting the delivery of all the hams is in early March
Mhm.
ahead of the distribution. But I don't believe letters have gone out.
I thought
And do
the
we know
date
what
of
kind of hams
letters-
or?
Boneless.
Okay.
They were not able to get the bone in this
But are
year.
they the
Yeah.
pressed hams like we got at Thanksgiving?
The little one?
The little ones?
Let me
Or
see.
you don't know?
I'm gonna let you keep talking. I'm gonna look that up because I think that might have
Okay.
come out recently. And let me see.
One
But
thing
no one on this call has heard about hams. Correct? No
When
one's
you
gotten it.
applied, it said
that.
February 27th.
Okay.
Oh,
That was the deadline, yeah.
No, it was not the deadline. The deadline
No.
was January 27th. They said the
Oh, yeah.
letters would come out in February by February 27th. So we've
So
got
should
possibly a
got
few
couple
weeks to go.
That sounds right to me.
Um,
As far as like where we are in the process between the application and delivery and receipt of the hams. But I'm trying to find what size hams we got, because I think Carolyn shared this with
I
the
thought in the
food bank.
past they couldn't figure that out until you got them in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one year Amanda said, I don't know whether there's spiral hams or the little hams, or we don't know anything till they come.
I've got a question. This is Dot on still on the agreement, but I'm just trying to figure out. I'm getting separate emails now, telling me that I've got to do the addendum for the retail pickups, and I don't know. There's another addendum for something or other. I can't seem to find them. Are they located on a link on the agreement, or are they being sent separately, or where do I find the addendums for like the retail recovery? And I can't, like I said, I can't remember what the other
The
one is right now.
TFAP attestation, Dot?
No, can I
Appendix
think I
A?
know.
Oh, go
Can I
ahead, Mary.
say? I received two like within 10 minutes of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And I think they were the same thing. They were asking for the same thing. And so it's all a part of that redistributing of
Oh,
partner pounds. And
Sharing your
yeah.
stuff.
And so
within
somebody may have indicated that they share stuff with you, or maybe you, and so I don't know if everybody is just signing it. I know I got it, and I'm, people have shared stuff with me. I share stuff with people. So I don't know if everyone just has to sign it. But yeah, it was confusing, but I did find it in
is it right in
fondant.
that email then?
It's, you can hit the link, but it just takes you in the email, but it just
Yeah,
takes you
it
to
should be into
fondant.
Yeah,
to
it's
the
on the
It
agreement.
takes you to Fountain, and then it's yeah, I can't remember how long it was. Someone else can talk about it. I just know that right after I did that, I then opened up the agreement, the agency renewal thing, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I kind
Yeah,
of
I was
got
like,
lost
You
in that
should,
one.
Dot,
Here, wait.
it should be on your dashboard when you log in to Fountain, when you hit
Yes.
apply. That's where
Yes.
it should
But
show up.
and it did, but then once I would get into that, I'd be like, okay, so now where is it?
You just go down, you look for your county, and then you just look for your name, and all you have to do is sign it.
Yes.
It's just
Amen.
And it
Thanks,
and it's
Sheila.
right on the front page of the grants platform under when you hit the apply button. You'll see it's a separate addendum.
Okay.
Mine
So it's
said
right there.
assigned to you. There was two little links. It says assigned to you. And I just clicked it and it took 2 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it would. I've signed it in the past, and I figured it wouldn't take long. But I'm like, I can't. That's what's holding me up to submit it, and I'm like, I can't find it. Okay.
Let us know if that works, Dot.
All right. Thank you.
But I'm with you. I don't know why we got two. I don't know if anyone else can.
I
So
might
you're saying it was two of the same?
It looked the same to me.
I'm
guys.
wondering if one is for receipt and one is for distribution.
Okay, could be.
There was
Oh.
a
I
minor.
probably can answer that. This is Sheila. Because I happened to be on the computer when the first email came through, so I went and did it before I forgot to do it. And I couldn't find it on the grants platform, so I wrote Amanda right back, and she said we had a boo-boo, and even though we sent the
Okay.
email, the link wasn't a good link, and so then they sent the second email very shortly thereafter, and that
Okay.
one worked.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep,
Thanks for that, Sheila.
sure.
But you should only have to fill it out once.
Right,
It was
right.
just two emails.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. Yep. And they were kind of part way through sending the email, so some people might have not got the second, and some people probably did.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
is Sheila again. I have a question, and if you covered this at the very beginning, I do apologize. I just came running from another volunteer thing I do, so
No problem.
I logged on late. I know that the freezers are being cleaned, and you warned us, I don't know, was that last week? I'm losing track of weeks that the freezers were going down, and of course the newsletter and all that. There's been very little ground meat. You got it in, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago, and there wasn't a ton of it because there's a lot of us. So I tried not to be greedy, and I just took a few cases, and but now there's no ground meat at all.
We did touch on this right at the
Okay.
very beginning, Sheila, because it had
Yeah.
come up at our at our last office hours, and I
Yeah.
did get an update from our food sourcing manager, and the soonest we will have any ground beef in is February. I believe it was the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, February
All right.
23rd. We're completely
Okay.
out of the 80/20 and the 90/10. Apparently, it's been like an all-time high as far as requests or people
I bet.
purchasing ground beef. So
Yeah,
we just haven't had access to it.
I know.
Carolyn is well aware of that, and like I
I
said,
bet.
had put in kind of a split order for both of those types of ground beef, and we're expecting it the 23rd.
Yeah, because even the ground turkey and ground chicken are gone now. So there's literally zippity doo dah in the I did
Nothing
get
in the
some hot dogs. But so all right. Well, I do appreciate it. It was just funny because usually you guys do such a wonderful job with sourcing food. But it has been really rocky for ground beef for really a couple of months.
Sure.
So, okay. Thank
Well, I
you.
think, we were talking about kind of food sourcing and the challenges everyone is kind of seeing right now at the start of this call. And I think an important point was brought up that I want to share internally with our team, as someone on the call said, all this pooled money is wonderful and allows people to shop, but if there's nothing to choose from, is it really, doing the good that it could be doing? So I think that's an important thing. And again, this all might add up to being something that none of us can control, and we're kind of at the mercy of
Right.
the market. But I think just hearing that and kind of having that pipeline from you, our network, right to our food sourcing people. It's always valuable information, and something she's always looking to kind of get back from all of you is when you're not seeing the things that you'd like to see. This seems to be a little more of a critical point than just, oh, I haven't seen X, Y, or Z on the menu in a few months. It would be nice to get that back. So I think that's really helpful to hear from all of you. I appreciate it, and I know she'll appreciate that as well. Mary, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so one thing to kind of piggyback on that, especially when you bring it to other personnel at the bank, is I'm just going to give you my experience at our pantry with clients. So, we might be able to offer, depending on what you guys have, we'll say 6 to 8 meats, right? And we have different, size households get to select different size meats, right? Which makes sense, right? But I have to put a limit on some of those meats because, if we have ground beef, if you're a household of four and let's say you're allowed to select, 3 or 4 meats, you're going to take what's most expensive, right? Like if you like ground beef and you would buy it at the store, you're going to select that. But I can't do that because then come, Monday, a few days before my next delivery, there won't be any ground beef for all the clients that come in on Monday and Tuesday. So I hate to say it, I think that's might be what the food bank needs to do with us. And they might, I understand the reason behind not wanting to do that. But it's just something they might want to explore. And I'm not advocating for it, folks, at all. But there were times whenever I'm like, gosh dang it, I'll pay for it. I'll put aside money so that I can afford to get, the cereal or whatever, the ground beef, the chicken nuggets, just so that I can get it. And I could never get on the menu in time to get it because it was always gone. So I don't know if you have to put limits on it. So that's just my 2 cents worth. And my experience has been that's the reason why we put limits on our clients.
We do, yeah, we do have limits, but holy cow, I mean, it's just there isn't meat available right now, so I don't even know what we're gonna do for the next 4 pantries. I will have some hot dogs and I've still got some fish.
I,
You know,
I'm really confused. You can actually offer 6 to 8 meats for one family? I have never, ever been able to do that when I go through the package of a family of 4 for a 3-day supply. I can offer the proteins and it'll be some meat and that enough meat for 3 or 4 meals, like it says. But 8 meats, I, and I'm not
No,
judging
no,
you.
I'm
I'm saying I
saying
can't.
choices. So
Oh, choices.
the way we do it, and we changed this right around COVID, or I think it might have been right before COVID. I can't remember because we had moved and we saw people, less people, so we changed it. But 1 to 2 people in a household get to select 2, then 3 to 5 get to select 4, and then 6 or more get to select 6, which is a ton. Don't get me wrong, but we have to put limits on that
Yeah,
because the ground
absolutely.
beef, so that there is enough ground beef for everyone who's coming in that week.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely. I get that.
um,
Mhm.
Sarah, after the call, can I send you an email and maybe talk to you a little bit about like Sheila, and maybe I can offer Sheila some of what I have on my order. I don't know if that's allowed. Is that allowed?
Just share some of,
Right.
I'm
I
not.
was able to jump on. I don't have it handy, but I know I have some ground beef coming to me on Wednesday. I don't know when she gets her delivery. And I believe I'm not sure about the ground chicken. Come to think of it, I think I got that before, but I may have. Um, but I could offer her some of that if we're allowed to do that.
Well, that's kind, but I don't want to take your meat. I mean, you have people that need it. That's,
I do too, but I don't want you guys to not get it, right?
well,
That's why I'm like,
we've got hot dogs and fish, so I guess that's what they're gonna eat for the next 4 weeks.
Sheila, when's your next distribution?
We get a delivery on Thursdays, and that's when we do our pantry too.
Gotcha.
See,
I
Sarah, excuse me.
No,
That's
I
how,
got, hold on just one
yeah,
second. Let me
okay, all
tell
right.
Mary. Mary, I can talk to Aaron and Jason tomorrow and see what the possibilities are, but again, ordering the details there, not
right.
something that I'm gonna poke around in, but I can certainly check in. That is very, very
It's very
kind of you to
kind, but
offer.
No, I'd
yeah,
be
I don't
willing to
want to.
do that. I mean, like I said, when I saw it, I hate to say it, I did what a lot of people I'm sure probably do. I'm like, okay, I know I need X number, but I'm going to take this many more because it didn't look like there was that many left. And, you know, I didn't want to go back and say, I have a couple distributions coming up, but most of mine aren't until the end of like special distributions where we're bringing food to people. But that's all the end of the month. So I'm saying my prayers, everything's going to be available at that point. And I can save
Knock
it,
on
but
wood.
I would rather her be able to have some, at least offer that.
Well, let
you
me let
know,
me see. At following this call, I'll put a message together to Jason, who oversees the warehouse, and I'll loop in Aaron and just see what's possible, and then I'll link you two together in that email, okay? And
Okay.
we
All
can
right.
just
Sounds good.
see. All right,
Well,
Bev, were
that's
you
very
gonna
kind.
say
Thank
something?
you.
We have a couple minutes here left. Did you
one,
have
one
something
of,
else to add?
maybe a positive or not, but one of the things that's contributing to it, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced it, but we had about 20% more families coming in January than we had a year ago. And so that's just kind of exacerbating the problems a little bit. Um, and I'd be interested in knowing if that's going to continue into February or not. But the numbers are growing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've
Other
had
folks are
the
seeing the
same.
same.
Yeah, we have. And of course, that's probably what hurt all the food, getting the food because of October and November, you know. I mean, we all probably really tapped in to what was available.
The other thing that we've been able to do, fortunately, is because of that grant that came through in Tioga County. Um, I've told our person that does the ordering, I said, we can use that grant and have used it for a lot of other foods. Um, if we have to go out and buy locally, let's go out and buy locally and get enough for the. We got a distribution coming up here Thursday, so we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, completely understandable, Carm.
It would be nice if when we got a grant, so you got a grant for $10,000, but you don't have bread and you don't have hamburger or something like this, if there was a way of us taking the money and going to Aldi's or going to Weiss or whatever and purchasing this stuff, but we can't. We can't touch that money.
Yeah, no.
We have to spend it there. And that's why I'm shocked that you were able to get hamburger within the last couple of weeks, because I have not seen it on the menu in
I
weeks.
know.
I'm
It was
shocked.
there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was 196 cases, but it went lickety split.
See, and I can't be on it 24/7 like there so many others that, you have a certain time when you go on the computer to do your ordering.
Mhm.
I don't know.
This is why I say that I think it should be limited. When somebody goes on, I understand that, like, we have at the mobile, we have like almost 200 families. And I understand that some pantries have more and some pantries have less. But I think you should go by, okay, how much are they giving? How many clients are coming? And then limit, Sarah. And then it's fair because some people are getting stuff and some people aren't. And I feel like Mary does it. You get frustrated because, gee, I got this stuff, and then I felt bad for Hector because Hector didn't get it. I mean, you feel so bad for him. So there should be a limit on it. If you have a big pantry, you're feeding a lot, well, then you get this much.
No,
And then
I completely understand where that sentiment is coming from, and I have some homework to do to get back to all of you to kind of fill in the gaps there about how the food bank does approach limits and how do we ensure that an inequitable process is done as equitably as possible. I think that's an important conversation to have, and I appreciate hearing everything from all of you today. It's a lot to take in and take back, and I don't have the answer to all of it. You're going to hear that from me plenty, but again, I think getting this feedback, this conversation back to kind of the broader audience at the food bank is so important. And I'm just so grateful for your time and that you make it a priority to hop on these calls. So I have some things that I'm going to look into. We are going to wrap up here because it is 5 o'clock. And thank you again for just sharing and for your honesty. I think we need to hear the good, the bad, and the in between. And that's what I'm here for. So again, I appreciate it. I know it's not always probably a comfortable situation to hop on and be like, well, this is what, you're doing that's really grinded my gears. But again, we can't change or advocate for change without knowing how these things affect all of you. So thank you, truly for sharing all of that with me and spending some time with your network. And we'll get through it. I know the middle of February is probably the longest time of year, for a lot of reasons, but hopefully that light is at the end of the tunnel and spring is coming, and with it ground beef and hopefully more variety. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you at the next one. I'll send this recording out along with any details that I can find out from our team about things that we talked about today. But I hope you all have a good night and
You
stay
too,
warm.
Sarah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.